What is going on, everybody? Hope you're all having a good Monday. Bobby Fi here. I'm going to be flying solo. Got a lot of different screens up. We're going to talk some MLB. We'll talk some NBA for tonight. Yeah, we'll go from there. But I did want to remind everybody, it's a great time to come and join us right now. We partnered with PayDirt DFS. They've been unbelievable. Their sports betting bets have been terrific. And you obviously have Sheets and Goldie's projections already. On top of it, obviously, we're partnered with SaberSim. I really feel like, and it's for less than $1 a day, you could join us instead, for the ultimate package instead of SaberSims, and you're getting all of the Sheets projections, which have obviously been as good as anyone's in the industry. Goldie's projections, obvious, and then the PayDirt stuff. I think it's a really good combination. I think it's really like as good as anything you'll find out there. And, on top of it, you also get Brandon Cruz, all of Rhodey's content, all of my content, a really good Discord, and a really smart group of people, and a lot of winners. So hopefully you guys will take the time to join us. I did want to remind everybody we do have some trials going. There's going to be a limit to how much we allow them, but because we've made so many changes, and our website, we're under construction for a new site, but all the information is there. I don't think there's anybody else giving out as much as we are, and I think you guys really should give us a chance. And you can reuse the trials for right now. At the moment, if you do it every week, it's going to end up totaling the ultimate amount, the total amount anyway. But we do want you guys to take a look and just see. Also, still have a pretty significant discount on the yearly packages. So I wanted to get into all that before I get into what's happening tonight. I haven't adjusted my lineups for the starting lineups being out yet. Obviously, we have an interesting breaking games. I did want to remind everybody, if you are trusting the projections and the systems, I think you really should be late swapping almost all the time in baseball. Obviously, in basketball, you have to, but in baseball, I think it's a really good idea to do it. And you could always late swap and still add, favor to whichever things you like the most. So before we get into it, I'm going to take a quick look at something. Let me just move one thing on my screen here, and make sure that didn't get in the way of anything. All right. I'll rerun things with what I've got, but I did put a slant on, again, I put a slant on the stacks that I wanted and on certain pitchers I wanted. Some of it, using the min-max exposures. Again, I'll never do it in basketball, but maybe this time of year you can do it in basketball, get away with it. In general, in big slates, it's really hard, but it's very easy to do for baseball. And I think it makes a lot more sense for baseball and golf. And again, I want to remind everybody, check out Goldie and Sheets' projections. They're awesome. You can plenty of ways you can use these things. Let me just show real quick, and for those of you guys who are new, you can average it out. You can use any of them, and then same thing with the ownerships, which is gonna drastically change the type of builds even from other SaberSim users. So I think it's an incredible option. I really hope you guys check it out. Anyway, so I haven't updated. I'm not gonna probably get to my final thoughts on this show. Just make sure I'm on DraftKings. Yeah, I am, because I got a number of tournaments, playing some Showdown NBA today. You can see it's Monday, as we always say on Mondays. We know there's going to be a number of guys out. And there are. So I'm going to do this. I don't like that it's apply and download now that SaberSim added, but it doesn't matter because I'm going to rerun everything anyway. So let's do that, and we're going to rebuild our lineups. I already made my tweaks, and let's just see where we end up overall. It's interesting because I know what I like, and I know what I'm going to do for my higher buy-ins too, which I always hand build anyway, just because I want to be a little different. I've had a really good history of doing so. But sometimes I'll use a combination of the hand builds in that, like, my buy-ins 250 plus. I generally like to figure out myself. So we're going to rebuild here and see what we get. Again, I'm using today's projections. Wait, let me just make sure I'm using the right ones. Yeah, I'm using SaberSims right now. Let me just make sure the last time Goldie updated his. He usually does it about an hour before lock for the last one. So Sheets updated his this afternoon, but you might have some players missing. So I would wait to use Goldie's for that basically. All right, so let's see where we're at, and let's go over here. Oh, still building. And I'm a fan of, I guess we'll just talk about it. Like, I'm a fan of getting a little different. I don't think you have to boldly 5-man stack when there's 6 games. 7 games or less, I really think you can veer away from those 5-man stacks a little bit more. And I am intentionally trying to do so because it is a good way of differentiating. It's especially good when you have guys like Judge and Ohtani, who you just want to, you play for the 2 home run upside or the home run and stolen base, whatever, combination. You play for the ceiling upside of them. You got guys like Tatis you could do that with tonight, Ellie De La Cruz, that type of thing. But personally, I'm going to not be as much 5-3 as I normally would be on like an 11 or 12 game slate. I think there's an excellent chance that, none of these games absolutely shoot out, and having the right pieces might be the one. All right. So obviously don't worry about that. I'm not worrying about the min max thing because I did change things. I'm just going to revert this back to the original. Not a big difference. So this is what I'm getting pitching wise. As you can see, I set a minimum for Schwellenbach and Gaussman. I wanted to be over the field on Gaussman. Gaussman, look, not a huge history, but 43 strikeouts and 81 at bats against him from this lineup that he's facing. It's just pretty wild to see a 56%. No, it's almost 60% strikeout rate. But yeah, this feels pretty good to me. I'm comfortable with this. I am a little lower on Nola. This matchup he's struggled with, and he's looked awful. I am going to play him more on FanDuel because he's got such a leash, and you want the quality start so bad over there. And I also just want to get a little bit of exposure. But usually I'm a big Nola guy. He has not looked good. It's still a small sample size, but I'm a little worried about him for the long run. It's not been a pretty picture so far. And then we'll take a look at the team stacks, and you can see I'm getting to a bunch of Cincinnati at the moment. Did I run the Sims already? Yeah, I did. I'm getting to a bunch of Cincinnati at the moment. I'm totally good with that. The ones that I wanted to make sure I was well overweight on were Detroit, Milwaukee, and the Mets against Nola, because I think that you're getting lower ownership, and they've crushed him in a pretty large sample size in the past. So I did want to point that out. Also, a weaker lineup today for Houston. Another reason to like Gaussman even more. And you can see my stack exposure types are a little bit different. I still have plenty of the 5-man, but I'm sort of spread out quite a bit. Of the 5-mans, I guess let's just take. Oops, it's really weird to do like this. So the 5-mans, I've got 30. I've still got 37% of my lineups are 5-mans, but then you get basically the same amount in 4-mans, and then a little bit of the 3-3. I don't mind that kind of stuff on these small slates. I really don't. It gets you a little bit different. It's not the optimal way, I would say, to play in general, but I do think if you're trying to win GPPs and you're not max entering, it is an interesting route to go. And even if you are max entering, we've seen them win plenty of times. Usually better for small field, large buy-in stuff, but I do think it works. It can work just as well on a slate that's only had 6 games where no one really jumps out except for Atlanta, who I think is going to be pretty heavily owned. So this is what I've come up with for now. I'm going to save this just so I don't have any players who are out of my lineups. Let me just see if that changed anything. I don't think anything should have changed here. And I didn't ask for the Cincinnati. I knew I'd get to some of it. Look, it's Sheets' thing usually, not mine as much, but they are coming off of 24 runs. It's going to be tough to top that one. They're 8-9 hitters, I think, combined for 100 points yesterday, which just doesn't happen. Okay, what's happening? All right, a little slow. And there we go. Okay, so jumping back over, I also did post my core plays and all that stuff, and I'll post my exact exposures by the end because I'm going to rerun and play with a few things, make sure I like it. We'll talk a little bit about FanDuel, do the same thing, and then we'll jump into some basketball. Feel free to ask any questions or thoughts. AJ is getting a bunch of Detroit. I like Detroit. I went out of my way to actually ask for more of Detroit. Let me just make sure. There's really nobody out. It got everybody right on FanDuel, and I'm playing 178 lineups. Something about that feels. Can we really be right? Oh, you know what it is? I think I used the average projections there. So that if we go to SaberSim, there we go. And we will use the average ownership, though, even though it's going to tweak things a little bit. I kind of like just getting different from normal SaberSim users. I do think I'm going to end up with more 4-3s and 4-4s over here, just the way that it goes. And I'm probably going to change things once Goldie updates his projections because that's when I can go ahead and do mine. All right, let's see. So they did that. Okay, but let's rebuild here with what we had. And it's going to want to give me Toronto. I'll tell you that right now. They really keep wanting me to play Toronto. I don't feel as great about it, but I'm not against it. Again, all of these stacks are like similar. I like the Milwaukee to get different. I think that's probably going to be either in a 4-4 or a 5-3 of some sort in my highest buy-in. Maybe a 4-3-1 possible, more likely a 4-4 or a 5-3 or a 5 blank too is also fine. I don't think you have to. The correlation matters much more on FanDuel than it does on DraftKings. I want to remind everybody about this all the time, because it really is just like a totally different thing between FanDuel and DraftKings, and just the amount you get for the RBIs and the runs percentage-wise of how much you're scoring is a difference. And for NBA, seems like all the same guys it's giving you. I have no idea what that means, AJ. What do you mean it's giving you the same guys? What is that? I don't even begin to understand what that means. It's giving you the guys who you're going to play. What like there's only so many players on a 2-game slate. So We got Rody's. Rody just updated his playbook. So if you are a member, check that out. I will again update my exposures and everything later on. It's not been the hottest period of time, so you can always take the fade me angle. And AJ, just let me know what you're talking about, and I'll talk to whatever point you're trying to make. I really don't understand some of that stuff when people say that it's giving you the same. I don't know what the same is what. All right. Anyway. All right. This is, it gave me a ton of Gaussman at the first one because I did want to be over the field on Gaussman. Again, he's look, I think it's high variance, but I'm happy to take some high variance. And I didn't tweak as many of the min maxes with the stacks over here. You can see I like both Detroit and San Diego. And getting to Toronto, Cincinnati, St. Louis. St. Louis is interesting because I like Schwellenbach here, but I think that the ownership is reasonable enough to go that way. And I think we're going to have more conventional stacks. 4-3, 4-2, some 3-2-2, 4-2-2. These are all fine with me. But again, I would focus more on making sure you get the 4-4s, the 4-3s and stuff on FanDuel. It's probably what I'm going to do in my high buy-ins over there anyway. Just because we've got this for now. Again, I'm going to make some more tweaks once Goldie updates his projections, and I will update all the users on that. But for right now, we're going to save this just to get all the other players out and make sure we at least have reasonable lineups. Milwaukee waits a while to let their lineup out, and they were already going to be low owned. I think Milwaukee against Robbie Ray, it's a small enough slate. On a big slate, I wouldn't probably think of it. On a small enough slate and not that many incredible hitting positions, I think it makes a lot of sense to play that Milwaukee and hope you get the bad Robbie Ray. Hope you get the 5-6 walks in the first 4 innings, and maybe you get a stolen base or 2, and then somebody hits one out, and next thing you know, you're in business. So I do like that Milwaukee idea. And in fact, on FanDuel, I think I have less of it, but I'm going to make sure I get to more than what I have. And again, the numbers 11%. It's not bad. I'm just going to go one higher than that because I do think that is we always say with Robbie Ray, like if this was a big slate, I'd be playing all the Robbie Ray. If it was a small slate, I want to take shots against him because he does have a range of outcomes, and they are going to be low owned because of where they're at. Let's see. I thought that was a news thing. Doesn't look like it is. So we are going to move over, and we're going to start doing some more pay dirt shows because I do want to show off some of their stuff. It's really cool. But as of right now, it's just it's going to be hard for us to do. So all right, jumping over to the what am I at here? Oh, I'm at basketball. Okay, I've got the main for basketball, and then we've got Isaiah Stewart out. It was giving me. I don't understand. I still don't understand what your point is, AJ. They're going to give you that play because it's the best play optimally. I really don't understand. Why is any of that surprising? Those are all a lot of good plays. I really don't understand. That doesn't make I just don't get it, I guess. All right. Again, I'll wait for Goldie to update his projections, but I am curious to see without Stewart what they're doing here. I tweaked 3 players' projections. Actually, I've tweaked 2. I'm going to tweak another one. And they're speculative, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But let me just make sure that I think it's a bump to, and again, I don't love using min maxes in the NBA. I will tighten the salary up because I don't think you need to leave that much on the table. But I'll also obviously be late swapping. But I really think that somebody would else I think Paul Reed might actually get more minutes than he's being projected. Oh, you know what it is? That's what I'm getting confused about. I have the wrong projections in here. I've got Goldie's projections because I used them this morning before we knew about Isaiah Stewart. And all right, we'll do an average over here. I don't mind when the ownership's a little bit off. And again, it's going to heavily weight because you see it's taking into account all of these numbers first, not on the projection, on the ownership. All of the different oh God, how did I miss that? Okay, sorry guys, a little fumble there. All right, this is what I was talking about. See, it's going to combine with all of those. So again, I'll wait and use Sheets or Goldie's projections. I actually might use Sheets' projections and Goldie's ownership. That's something I like doing quite a bit. But for right now, let's update it without Isaiah Stewart. And I'm just before we do that, let me just double check one thing. Value. I thought we could see something. I think Asar is the one who gets the biggest boost. I think that's probably right. I think it's probably worth speculating on a little bit of Paul Reed. I'm curious, but again, you're just doing it to try and find ways to get different on a very, very small slate where you're not going to have many opportunities. I think I like the idea of getting overweight Mitch Robb, even though, again, this is just a way of trying to be a little bit different on this slate. Maybe we make it 15.5 just to get a little bit over that. And we also are going to change Westbrook. So there's the speculative plays. So we had Porter Jr. I don't think there's anything to wait on in Aaron Gordon, by the way. That's not like he's playing. Like, that's not even like, you shouldn't even think about that one. Westbrook, I did earlier. I bumped his I'm going to bump his projections back up again because things changed when I just went to the Sabres projections. I'm going to bump up the Jokic projection because I think it's still a little too low for a medium for a playoff game. And the other one I want to bump up is the one that no one wants to play because they're worried, and for good reason. Westbrook and Michael Porter Jr. are both have up and downside on their minutes, and we saw them play for each other the other night. Whatever. We saw Westbrook and we saw Porter get benched. I think the idea I have is to try to be overweight both of them. I think that Porter Jr. could easily shoot himself back into a game. By the way, I love his props and betting the overs tonight. And I think it's a really, really smart way to go. And we're going to rebuild. So we already did this. How come it's not? Oh, okay. We'll do that and then we'll rebuild. Okay. And then we'll go from there. All right. I guess your point was I want to get different somewhere, but I'm not seeing. Yeah, that's just what's going to happen. Yeah, you're not going to find it. They're not going to give you a 2% owned guy in a 2-game playoff slate. That's just not going to be the way that it's built. Like, that's the way the playoffs are. You don't get the opportunity to get the low owned weird plays. Like, there's a couple. I mentioned Mitch Robb as one. But in general, it's really hard because you're going to play the same guys most of the time. I love Schroeder tonight. I think that, but again, he's going to be owned and he's projected well enough to where he should be owned, and I think he plays he has two angles of working it out. So I actually bumped him up just a little bit. But my take is that I think you speculate on the Murray, on the Porter Jr. as low ownership. That's what my hand builds will probably do. That maybe it sides back towards him. Maybe he gets hot and he's playing defense. But at the same time, I'm also going to be overweight Westbrook. So going to be willing to take a little bit of variance into this. And that's what you should be willing to do for these types of games. All right. So let's see. We're at, okay. So I changed the min destination a little bit because of that. And it is giving all the Asar because he gets the boost with the lack of beef stew. Okay, it's probably a little high, the number, but for right now, we're going to save it again. I'm going to wait for Goldie to update his projections, which should be any second now. I'm just going to double check, and he hasn't done it. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and save these to contests, and we will go from there. And I'm not changing the min uniques. I'm not playing enough lineups. If I was playing a little more lineups, I think I would change the min uniques and spread out a little bit more. I'm just not doing it. And as you can see, I went even over on the Jokic play. I think Jokic probably puts up like 75 tonight. I kind of would be surprised if he didn't. And I think the Clippers put up quite a fight, would be my take. That screen and roll really worked for them. I don't know why they went away from it. I'm going to take a quick look. And where did I end up with Westbrook? Yeah, Westbrook. But where did I end up with Murray? I mean, sorry, not Murray. I keep saying Murray. Porter Jr. Yeah, see, well overweight Michael Porter Jr. at low ownership. I guess that's the kind of play that can win you a tournament. Certainly can lose you a tournament, but that's what you got to be. You got to gamble a little bit this time of year. Did I just save these? I actually don't remember. I think let me save this. I think I just did this, but I'm just making sure. This never hurts. Just make sure I have everything sorted. All right, so then we'll jump over to FanDuel real quick. And if there's any questions on any of the sports, please let me know. Do like and all that stuff. We appreciate that. Even if you're not a member, especially if you're not a member and you're watching the free content, please give us the like. And everybody else, really check out the packages. I think that we have like the most unique offering in the industry, and I think it really is an incredible deal. We also have the new core package, which has a Saber Sims builder, but with our projections. It's just a great deal. Again, doesn't have all the stuff, all the bells and whistles that the Ultimate package does, but it is a really good thing to use, especially if you're a player who's not playing over, who's not playing more than 4 figures a day. Okay, we're going to do this again. And Then I'm going to go back and make sure I have the right thing here. My projection, we're using SaberSim straight. And then the ownership, we are going to use a combination. Just to slightly differentiate from SaberSim users. Now, I am playing 100 just in the lottery over here, so I'm willing to take even bigger chances. We've got Westbrook bumped up a little bit. We're going to have Michael Porter Jr. bumped up because we're trying to take shots here at the lower owned guys. And then we are going to bump up the projection on Dennis Schroeder. I don't think we need to bump it up much. I just think he ends up playing more of a role tonight than is being pegged. And overall value, what are we seeing here? What is Asar? Oh, he's 6,100. That's why. But it still feels a little low. All right. So I'm going to rebuild these, and then I'm going to get out of here if you guys don't have anything else to go over. This is we know where I'm at tonight. I've sort of said everything I can. Again, I would encourage everybody to check out the packages. Also, a lot of content that we put up is in the Discord, the premium Discord. So that's that. And again, please like and subscribe and all that. And if anybody has any questions regarding baseball, basketball, that's where I'm at. I won't go through my showdown exposures. I will do that for our members only. So that's where I'm at. And even these other ones, I don't usually like to do these because I would really like people to figure. I like what Cheats does with teaching people how to play, but I really want to try and make sure our members are getting what they're at. All right. Hi, D-Pope. I don't know why you thought it wasn't live yet. We've done the exact same time every day this year, but it's all good because you can watch it back, because I am probably going to get out of here once this build is done, unless there aren't any specific questions or thoughts. And I'm happy to answer anything, but if there aren't any, I'm going to finish my builds to let the members know what I'm doing, let them know to fade me because it's been a little bit of a cold streak. Not really. I was gone this weekend. Almost was an amazing golf tournament for me. It looked like I had a good chance to win there, and it just faded away at the end. It didn't help that Morikawa decided to completely blow up on Saturday and be the worst player in the field. And I didn't even play that much Morikawa. I just happened to be in the lineup that could have won the 200K. Oh. All right. Let's see what we got. It's taking a little while. I didn't add that many tweaks. I did bump Jokic up, right? Yeah. And I do think you're going to consider guys like Paul Reed in Showdown. I think you'd consider some what's his name? Why am I blanking on the name? Whoops. Ron Holland, excuse me, in Showdown, but you're not using them in regular format. Wow, this is taking quite a while here. I might have to re-upload my content. There we go. And don't forget, you want to late swap as late as possible because then you have the most information in the first game. But don't forget to late swap. It's very important for NBA. It's also very important for MLB, but nobody does it, which is, again, giving you just an edge that other people don't have, especially, using the TrueDFS/SaberSim, late swap. That's why the early stuff, it is what I want to do that day, but it's always going to change. All right. So you can see we're high there on Gordon. The thing I didn't do was set a rule to separate Porter Jr. and Westbrook. There's still a path, I think, but it is a little higher on Westbrook than it probably needs to be. I'm okay with the little gamble, probably going to lower that and rerun it later once we get Goldie's updated projections. But yeah, that's where I'm at. So let's save the contest just so I can keep all my stuff live. And then I'm going to get out of here. It looks like everybody's up there. Yeah. A first in what? AJ, what were your 12 points within? Because if you're 12 points within first on the lottery, you would have won I think you would have won 40,000. And I don't think you won 40,000 is my guess. But if you did, I hope you did. I just don't think so. What happened here? Did I not click it? I thought I did. All right, and then we'll go to CSV edit and go from there. I can just click on NBA, but I'm doing it this way. Oh God. Everybody I have asked to call me ever, they always come straight from they They always do it right during this. I'll just do this. Oh yeah. Oh, that's a good. I mean, it's a hell of a profit margin. All right. Choose file. Make sure I edited them all. Looks like a lot of Westbrook Brunson. Yeah, I like getting to Cade. I think that if they're going to stay close tonight, Cade has to even be better than he was in game one, which is saying a lot. All right, guys. I think that's going to be it for me. Good luck to everyone tonight. I hope you guys crush it. And any questions from members, I'll be in the Discord. Again, check out the packages. We have awesome deals over here going on right now at TrueDFS, and really think it's something for everybody. So we have all different price tiers, and I really hope you guys can take advantage of it. So let me just make sure I've got one thing loaded on there. And we are going to, oh, you know what it is? The ticker is what I want. Okay. All right. Good luck to everybody today, and see you guys hopefully at the top of the leaderboards later, and I'll see you in the Discord.